And Roger, sir, can I have your next position after 111?
It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day in a first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show. We are John and Sam, and we are the First Responder Network. We have an amazing show today, and you know that song, Sam, that gets me every time. It really fills me up, and it's a powerful song written by a Canadian firefighter that really touched the hearts of so many through his words. And today, man, I am so happy to have on our show someone who touches first responders in a different way. Want to tell us how?
Yeah, I don't know if he touches first responders in a different way, but he definitely has a unique outlet. Let's just say I don't know.
Yeah.
That was from a movie. I'm trying to be
Oh.
funny. Like, remember when I think it was a Jack Black movie when he says, I have touched your kids in so many ways. Well,
Yes.
freak out.
Yes.
So yeah. So I don't know if we wanted to open the show that way, but hey, everybody, welcome.
In the comedy field, it didn't land. It didn't land, Sam.
It was crickets. I should have been like, creak, creak, creak. Yeah. Anyway, hey, it is June, which means it is PTSD Awareness Month. So all of this month, as every other show that we have, we're really going to dive in deep and bring on all the guests that focus on first responder resiliency, wellness, and trying to get through that post-traumatic stress journey that so many of us have been on. We also just got off of Memorial Day, Carry the Load, amazing event here in Dallas, benefiting our military, our veterans, our law enforcement community, and first responders. And I want to give a huge shout out to DPD, Dallas Police Department. We're there, the bike unit, and not the motorcycle bike, the bicycle bike. And it was so awesome. They're there every year. And of course their downpour happened, as it always does. It's clockwork. It rains on us. And it was like no factor. So it was such a pleasure to meet with them and be able to talk as the rain poured down and everybody was seeking shelter for a little bit. And one of the groups was there, and I remember touring their facility, which is local here. And one of the things that I noticed that they had was a lot of artwork on their walls. And some of it was artwork performed as part of art therapy. Okay. So actually first responders and veterans that painted, and then they hung some of the works on the wall, and some were photographs. And when you and I came across our guest's work, to say that it viscerally connected with us is an understatement. This talented artist, you can feel his art, and we'll be sharing soon. But let me bring Daniel in.
Let me just tell you.
Too late.
I
didn't hear you say.
Okay. But what I was going to say is, many first responders around the country have seen Daniel's art, and welcome, Daniel.
Yeah, hi guys.
Have seen your art or shared your art numerous times throughout their agencies, throughout the departments, and I'm so honored to have you on the show right now to meet the man behind the paintings.
Well, thanks for having me on your show, you guys. This is great.
Absolutely. So let me introduce Daniel to everybody that is on the live stream. Daniel Sundahl is a published artist and writer and has 3 art books. His articles of his work are featured in Canadian Paramedicine, the Journal of Emergency Medicine, Fire Rescue Magazine, EMS1, EMS World Magazine, and the Canadian Journal of Emergency Nursing. His art is recognized worldwide, and he travels internationally speaking on his art and personal experiences with occupational stress injuries and post-traumatic growth. Daniel is the president and founder of the Peer Recovery and Resiliency Society, a group that supports emergency workers from around the world and aids in their post-traumatic growth. He's an advanced care paramedic, firefighter, pre-hospital educator, photographer, and photo editor. His love of photography began on his travels, and as his technique developed, he started to produce a blend of photography and graphic art, which he calls photo art. The majority of Daniel's work involves emergency services photography, and it comprises an emotional connection to the artist, as most of his pieces are based on actual emergency calls he has attended as a paramedic and a firefighter. He is passionate about reducing the stigma of post-traumatic stress for first responders, and he uses his art to raise awareness of occupational stress injuries worldwide. He enjoys combining the technical and artistic elements of his work, and each piece can take several days or weeks of processing until he feels it is ready. As no artist is going to release anything that is not ready. So Daniel, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for coming on. Daniel is in Canada, everybody, and as we have shared on this show before, our hearts go out to you up there. It's our law enforcement paramedics have been put in some call it precarious situations by the government, and we just continue to pray for you guys. So
well, thank you. The feeling's mutual. I think it's for first responders all around the world. There's stuff happening everywhere, and I think we need to stick together and support each other.
Absolutely. So, you have been through some stuff, just like John and I have, and most of our audience that tunes in each week. And, it's not unusual to have art be a form of therapy. Your pieces are just like, I mean, when I was introduced to them, it was like a gut check for me. Does it ever trigger the things that you've been through since you're doing art around calls that you've been on?
Well, that's kind of the whole purpose of the artwork. It is triggering, and they're all based on, well, I do different types of artwork, but the ones that probably are the gut punches are the ones that are based on my own experiences, which aren't unique to me. Many other paramedics, firefighters, and other first responders have similar experiences. So when I have those experiences, I create the artwork from them. It's photo based, and it's kind of how I purge them. It's how I process them. So I don't know if I would say it's triggering, but I hope it doesn't trigger other people because it's very personal to me. But I do a deep dive on that situation when I'm creating the artwork. It's photo based, so I stage a photo, then I digitally draw and paint on top of it, and I'm trying to recreate what I felt. If I'm trying to portray a specific emotion or an event, so I don't censor it. I don't hold back. It has to be authentic for me in order for me to get it all out. Right? I don't consider to be honest, if it's going to trigger other people. It's not authentic to me if I do that.
Right.
I never, every time I've seen your artwork, I've never seen it as triggering. I mean, it's probably got a different meaning to everybody. And that's what art's supposed to have. Art's supposed to have a different meaning to everybody. And every time, and I know even through my worst times in the rabbit hole, I've looked at some of your photos before I met you, before I even knew who you were, and I took them as healing. When we turn around and we say, you're never alone, right? We preach that you are never alone. I look at some of your photos and they come to life. And you can feel the emotion in all your photos. You can feel the emotion of the paramedic, the firefighter, the police officer, what they're going through. And you can almost, I mean, for me anyway, I can almost connect with that photo. And I'm like, and it makes me feel like, you know what? I'm not alone. Even though it's a picture, even though it's just a picture, it makes me feel, it gives me solace. And, there's one that really captures my heart is there's a picture of a paramedic in the back of an ambulance, sitting on the back of an ambulance. And there's a little child, a figure holding a teddy bear. And there's another soul, I forgot what, a gunshot, but there's souls all around him. And, it hit me like, man, this is what paramedics see. This is what firefighters see every day. I can connect.
I think, and like they're very personal to me. So if you feel that you're not alone, imagine how I feel when, a million people react to it and connect to it. Like that really makes me feel that, hey, I'm not like this is an authentic thing for me. So yeah, and when I first started creating this artwork, I didn't know how people were going to react. I didn't know how people were going to take it, and I was a bit nervous, to be honest. But what I didn't realize that each person is going to take their own experiences. They're going to look at it. It's going to mean something different for everybody. Right. And I think for the people that it does trigger, maybe they're not regulating. Maybe they should. If that is the case, then they should investigate that. If that really connects with them, that maybe they should be doing something, right?
If something like a photo is triggering, and you said it straight out, maybe that's a sign that you need some more healing. You need your coping mechanisms to be placed in check a little bit.
Maybe.
It's like looking at the Mona Lisa and saying, she's got a shitty smile. Or what? She reminds me of my ex-wife. Man, that bitch, whatever. But so everybody's gonna have a different thing.
We have just taken art to a whole level.
Well, that's what art's about. That's what art is about.
Right. Yes, it is. It is very individual. That's your comedy, and that one would score from stage. I'm just saying.
But that's the that's what I love about art, and I wish I could draw anything but a stick figure, but it really puts stuff into perspective for each individual, and I love what you created.
How did you get into art? Have you always been into art as a kid, and it just was a natural thing, and one day you were just like, I got to do this?
No, I kind of started off as photography, so I was doing pictures and taking pictures of my dogs and pictures of, landscapes and that kind of stuff, and kind of applying that painterly effect over the photo. And then part of my therapy after I developed these traumatic injuries, these mental traumatic injuries, is when I kind of decided to apply that photography style to processing and purging these memories out of my head. Wow. And that's kind of what all started. And I was surprised that I was a bit nervous because I thought maybe it might be triggering for me, and I don't know how I was going to kind of doing a deep dive in this. But yeah, it was very cathartic for me. I was able to purge this out of my head and capture it into this one-dimensional picture. It was great. So.
You say one-dimensional. People are probably like, would you just show some stupid photos so we know what he's talking about? We will. That's the carrot that we're dangling, because I look at these as so multi-dimensional, multi-layered. The detail that you've captured in it is just astounding. And
I'll be right back. My dog's locked in a room.
You know what?
Oh, okay.
I gotta let my dog out too. He's right here. And if the door's right here, he's gonna start barking, or I'm scared that he's gonna go back here and poop on the carpet. Give me
let's not have pooping on the carpet. So while the men are tending to their doggies, it is. Do you use your art as part of the Peer Recovery and Resiliency Society? Like, did that all come at once, or did you go into the art and then decide, hey, I have got to go one step further and form something that really is talking about post-traumatic growth? Yeah,
it started all off very personal, like creating the artwork. I never intended to share it with anybody. That wasn't my intent to do that, but it just kind of grew into this huge community that. I started to get asked to travel and exhibit my artwork, which I did. And I started to meet thousands of my peers from all around the world. And when I speak, I talk about post-traumatic growth and recovery, and try to put a positive spin or the silver line around this dark cloud of PTSD or PTSI. And I had the idea of, I'm going to invite some of my peers that aren't professional speakers to come and talk about their experience, but focus on their growth and their recovery. And that was very healing for other people that maybe aren't at that spot yet to, maybe they are suffering, or maybe they don't even know. Like in my case, I didn't even know that I was in trouble because my brain chemistry had changed, and I didn't know that, I thought suicide was an okay idea, but, I lost the capacity to realize that, hey, that's maybe not a good idea. There's other options. So I thought if maybe people like that could see their peers that have been in those types of situations and have recovered. Not, professional motivational speakers. These are their peers that have gone through similar situations, and they're okay. And in fact, they're better than okay. They're striving. So that's when we decided to form our society, which we kind of put on hold right now. What we mostly do is we do that conference every year. We're planning a suicide awareness walk. So we mostly plan these events, which, with COVID, we have to kind of put on the sidelines, but we're hoping to start up again next year.
Yeah, well, you said it the best, and John and I can attest to this. Not only running our own workshops and everything, but it's the been there, done that. I mean, you can have a stage full of PhDs, etc., lots of letters, unless there is some way for them to connect with the audience. It's almost like, okay, here's another just expert talking about something that's so up here, rather than hitting it so in here. And we've got Blue Help. Karen Solomon, the founder of Blue Help, is listening in, is watching right now, and she says she loves your work.
Oh, great.
So for Karen, the same. All of these organizations, while it's important to have those folks on staff because they do lend some credence to what you do, if they don't have a component that connects, it's really hard to be that change agent that you want to be. And before we started the show, we were talking about your T-shirt, and your artwork that you've displayed on your arms, and that's a way of connecting too. Because man, do we need some kindness to return, kindness and sanity.
Right.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are really on edge about being in isolation for so long. I kind of think people have gone crazy. Like they've lost common sense. Just seems to be gone. And I think the idea of just being kind and being compassionate more than ever is really important. And when people are in their trauma, at least in my own experience, like I said, you lose the capacity to know right from wrong, to know up from down, to know what you should do and what you shouldn't do. And that could be perceived as, he's insane, like he's crazy, he's out of control, he's angry all the time. I don't want to be around him anymore. But maybe that's not the case. Maybe, you need to reach out and just be nice, be kind, be compassionate, or even say, hey, I've noticed the last couple of days or last week, you've been acting a little bit differently. What's up? And then of course they'll say, no, I'm fine. No, this is what I've noticed. If you feel comfortable doing that with somebody. Right. And even if they don't say anything, then they'll at least know that the fact that someone's watching out for them, might, pull them out of there.
Sometimes it takes one or two talkings before somebody may open up to you, and you may get the I'm fine once, you may get the I'm fine twice, but then takes certain people take a little time to get it, get that comfort zone going.
Yeah.
And that's part of smashing the stigma, John. Right. We talked about this the other day, is that when you have when you're a veteran, firefighter, EMT like you are, and you go out of your way to ask somebody, maybe it's a particularly tough call that was there with you, to say, hey, how you doing after that one? That was tough. That not only you show that you're human to that other person, but that you do actually care, and that spurs hopefully a conversation.
But yeah, what I see on that too is a lot of people don't know how to respond yet because it hasn't been integrated into their brain. So when someone comes up to them and asks, how you feeling? The natural reaction is, I'm fine.
Yeah,
I'm good. They don't know how to react yet. Law enforcement and first responders don't know how to react to that. Well, it really bothered me. They don't know how to. Maybe later on at the firehouse, or maybe later on during the precinct, say, hey, brother, thanks for asking how it was. That was a little tough. It's got to soak in. It's got to soak in. And sometimes when you hit them with, hey, especially hit them at the scene and say, hey, that was a pretty tough one. How you feeling? Usually they're still amped up. They're going to be like, I'm okay, I'm fine, and let it go. So you got to kind of ease into that. Always ask, 100%. But, sometimes you may not get an answer that quick.
Yeah, and you probably won't. And the reverse can happen too. Like let's say you went on a call and you feel that it really affected you, and then you want to talk to your supervisor and say, hey, that really kind of kicked me in the guts. I'm not quite sure what to do. A lot of times they don't know what to do with that either, right? They're like, oh, well, that's too bad. I hope you feel better, right? Because a lot of places don't have the training. They don't know how to recognize things or what to do. It's like, oh, well, now we're both uncomfortable. What do I say? What do I do?
I'm glad you said that, because it's a perfect segue into what I want to bring up. Our last workshop, we had an officer who had a cousin in the mounted unit, the Canadian Mounted Police, and he actually asked for us if we could ever come to Canada and give our workshop. Mm-hmm. Though I don't know much about it. Maybe Sam doesn't know, and we're not first responders in Canada. But what are the programs like in Canada? Is there a peer support within the departments? Are they building up? What's the departments in the cities looking at when you start talking about post-traumatic stress?
Well, it really varies depending on what department you're talking about. We don't have a national mental health program. We have Canadian Mental Health Commission. We have a lot of national mental health programs, but nothing really specific to first responders. And for each individual department, like RCMP, they have a different program. Police departments, individual fire departments really have individual programs. Some are really good and some aren't so good. Mm-hmm. So it really, really varies on what your department you're working in and where you're from.
Big thing the one thing that me and Sam have always talked about, we hate that word varies. Mm-hmm. Because varies means whatever my budget can afford, so, and you hit the nail on the head with national. We should have a national, criteria for mental health for our first responders. That's what we should have something across, the nation.
I think that will come over time. Like, you think it's still pretty, I started doing my artwork first, and I think the first one was 2014, 2015, and nobody spoke about this type of stuff, or very few people did. It certainly wasn't as mainstream as it is now. So I think we've come a long way since then.
Oh, yeah.
Right? And I think there's a long way to go still. But, I think what's going to happen, because I've seen it in other parts of the world where, if a firefighter or a police officer, takes their life, then that department's going to have to show that they supported the mental health of that firefighter or police officer or paramedic in some way. And if they don't, then they're going to be liable. And they do that in places of Australia where, because our rates are so much higher, that there's got to be some type of program where we need to be protected in some way.
Wow.
Just like, if I was in a fire and I don't know, if I cut my leg on a saw or something, then that's going to be an investigation, and the department's going to have to show, well, he received the proper training. He did the proper safety training on that. It was an accident for this. So there's an investigation for that. And I think there should be an investigation for when first responders take their lives as to, what caused it. And the purpose of that isn't to cause blame, because not everyone knows the proper things to do. We're still figuring that out. But in order to prevent the next one. So instead of, thoughts and prayers, and then that's it, okay, what happened? Let's do a deep dive. Oh, this guy did, this firefighter was on 4 pediatric suicides in the last week. Why didn't that raise a red flag? Maybe let's introduce a program where, this police officer went to, 5 really bad calls in the last month. Someone should be watching that. If that happens, then let's connect with this person and check in with them. Like, that's not hard to do, right?
Yeah,
manpower issue.
It's not hard to do. We talk about it all the time, but apparently it's harder in some states than others. There are a few states that have made post-traumatic stress part of their workman's comp. So, your analogy of cutting your leg on the job, finding out what happened, and then getting treatment and having it pay for it. In some states, it's starting to happen, but there's a lot more to do. I want to jump into sharing some of your art and stories behind it, folks. The comment stream is open. So if you have any questions, comments, go ahead and post them. I'll see them. And we can go from there. So I'm going to screen share here.
Wait, and I'm just gonna let my dog in real quick.
Yeah, sure.
Sure.
I was like, I thought that might have been your dog, not John's dog, because we're professionals at knowing the barks.
Yeah, I didn't have to lock my dogs up. I had to unlock my dogs. They got stuck in my back bedroom, and they were jumping on the door to try to get out.
Oh, okay. Yes, we were just saying we know the barking.
Yeah, sorry.
He knows my dogs.
Oh,
I know his dogs, and I was like, that's not John's dog.
I know he's just gonna bark forever and ever and ever.
So let me screen share here.
Try to give us a little story behind it.
Yeah. Yeah, each one has a story behind it.
If you don't mind. If you don't mind.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
Now, Sam, you're not going to be able to see the pictures, right?
Well, I can't see the screen, so it'll just be delayed on my side, because I'm watching on YouTube from another screen. So I can see us on the screen, and now I can see the piece of art. So just to let everybody know, this is the first piece of art that somebody sent to me of yours. And I was like, holy crap, I get this like there is no tomorrow. I so understand this.
Yep.
Yeah, this is called Torn, and this was with some friends of mine from Las Vegas. So these are Las Vegas firefighters and nurses and police officers and paramedics. A lot of them were involved in the shooting there. And the idea of this, it's funny, people interpret it a little bit differently. They think that, the nurse and the firefighter are pulling a different direction than the paramedic and the police officer, but they're all pulling the same way. And the idea is that, but based on your experiences, that may be how you interpret it, right? Based on your own experiences and relationships with your peers. But the idea of this is the paramedic, he's a flight medic in the middle. His face is totally cold and vacant because he's been completely depleted and he doesn't care which way he goes. He's lost the capacity to fight for himself. He has no more energy. So he doesn't care which way he goes. So the devil wants to take him, the devil again being trauma. But this represents his peers fighting for him. So the idea of this is that our peers, we need to support each other because sometimes we lose the capacity to support ourselves because we can only keep that energy up so long before we start to decide that, hey, taking my life might be a good idea, so I don't even have to feel anything anymore. That's the only solution that I feel is left. So that's kind of the purpose of this picture. Yeah, and a lot of people connect with this one.
Yeah, and I see the and you hit it with the flight medic in the middle. He's totally drawn, but you've captured on the faces of the nurse and the firefighter and the law enforcement officers, the struggle that they're pulling him back. They want to save him. They have that. Yeah. They have that in it. You've captured the struggle. You really have.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So like their look on their faces, they're fighting for his life.
For him.
Whereas he doesn't care.
Yeah.
And that's how it is often. We hear of emergency workers who take their lives, and we're always shocked and surprised that we didn't know that they were even struggling, because we get so good at hiding it. We don't show that to people, and this kind of represents, even when you're at that point, your family, your coworkers, your friends, they would rather fight for you and help you and get a phone call at 4:00 in the morning than attend your funeral. I guarantee that. Right. So
absolutely.
That's kind of the idea of this picture.
Absolutely. All right, let's go on to this next one. The detail in this, right down to the reflection in the helicopter. I'm looking at the windows. I'm looking at the nose of the chopper. I'm like, wow.
Yeah, this is in Australia. This is an Australian police helicopter. So, but remember, all my work it's photo based. So when people look at it, they don't know if it's a photograph or they don't know if it's a painting. Right. And they look at it like, well, that's too detailed to be a painting. I'm like, well, it can't be a photograph because there's a devil here. Right.
Right.
So they don't, which is kind of what I want. But yeah, this one, when I toured Australia, hello to all my Australian friends that are watching.
Yes.
A couple years ago. And Yeah, I was really lucky. I had a great host there that took me into a lot of different places with police, fire, and EMS all through Victoria. And we went to the airport here, and the police helicopter was very close to the flight helicopter there as well. So I was able to go on the whole thing and visit everybody. It was great. I have another picture of the crew that was actually on this helicopter. I did a portrait of them next to it. But yeah, it's a super cool looking helicopter.
What I like about it is you captured the bend in the blades.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
You know that whenever you walk up to a helicopter, you can see the bend in the blades, and you captured it, and it's amazing.
You know what I thought when I was creating this? What was that TV show? It was something about a helicopter. Like this is going way back. This is going back, I think, in the 80s. Something Wolf.
Yes, I was just going to say something Wolf.
Airwolf. Yeah, right.
Airwolf.
So
yeah.
A lot of people are probably going to remember that. That's like 80s, right? Probably 80s. Late 80s. But I love that show. It was really cool. That helicopter was so badass. So when I saw this and I was walking up toward it, that's what I thought of. I'm like, man, that is a really cool looking.
That is.
And that's
I think we just
camera.
dated ourselves.
Yeah,
Yes, that is how old we are. Airwolf. Yeah.
I'm never going to watch that, because if I watch that show, if I watch reruns, I'm going to realize how horrible it is.
Exactly.
And right now I'm thinking, yeah, that's a great show. I loved it. I don't want to ruin that for myself. I'm sure I will if I watch it and recognize
Keep the moment.
Yeah.
All right, let's go to the. Wow, this is powerful.
Yeah, this one's pretty heavy duty. Yeah, my stuff is pretty heavy, and because the topic is heavy. This was actually a portrait that I did for a friend of mine. I don't know if I can actually share the details of it, but this is a police officer in his dress uniform, and he did a call involving a little girl that he had to rescue from a horrible situation, and it really affected him. And it's not a unique experience to him. Many people have that experience with children. Pediatric calls for all of us are really memorable and stick with us the most, I think. And this one, what I try to do with a lot of the pictures that I have pediatrics or children in, is I try to show them that the spirit of these kids are comforting or thanking the police officer, the firefighter, the paramedic, the dispatcher, that thanking them for what they did, for their efforts anyways. And for me, that brings me some comfort, right? If I'm, and there's one particular, I don't know if you're going to show it, but it's a firefighter on the back of a fire truck. And there's a little spirit of a little girl with wings, and she's holding the teddy bear. And that was based on a really bad car accident that we went to. The entire family was killed. And it was pretty violent and pretty
Hold on, my dog's bark.
pretty gruesome. Yeah, that's okay. And so for the longest time, I had that image of that little girl in my head in her car seat. And then when I recreated that art piece, then it was her as an angel holding that teddy bear still. So after I created that image, I didn't think of her like that, like I actually saw her. That image stopped popping into my head, and then I started to, picture her like I did that image. There's like the psychology behind it, I'm sure can be explained, but I essentially purged that reoccurring uninvited memory from my mind, and again trapped it into this recognizable image that I created, essentially controlling how I remembered that.
I look at that picture and I see comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Just me, I see comfort. And the expression on her face, the little girl's face, is you tried. I don't know the backstory, but you tried. Thank you, and you're forgiven.
Yeah. And what I really like, and the little girl that helped me with this picture, she was great. Her name was Georgia. But the way that and I didn't tell them to do that, but the way that she just used, her pinky to grab onto the police officer's index finger, right? So this big manly index finger with this tiny little dainty little girl pinky, like that connection is all it takes, right? And then she's wrapping her wing around him. Yeah, it's I love this picture. I think it's very
I see her
healing,
saying, right? I'm okay, it's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. I'm okay. It's okay. Yeah.
Okay, let's go on to this. Oh, gotta love the doggies.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the topics that I do are pretty heavy, and a lot of the images I do are pretty dark. So any opportunity I get to have a dog in it, and I do dog portraits. I love doing dog portraits. I love painting dogs. I do lots of memorial dog pictures, which is kind of weird, but I love doing that kind of stuff. And I do a lot of canine images. And I did this big photo session. This is with the RCMP, but I did a big photo session with my local police department here in Edmonton, with all their canine unit. And man, that was an amazing photo session I had. And these dogs were like so happy and so well trained. But then I did pictures of them when they were in their attack mode, and I shit my pants. Like, it was terrifying. Right? So I'd be behind the guy, and then they would put the dog in attack mode, and I'm like, oh my God, I hope that leash is strong. They were vicious, and I have a whole series of images that I did with each of their handlers. But it's amazing how they can be like so, and the connection with canine and dog therapy and stuff. That's a whole other topic. Right. But the connection that they had with their handler was really noticeable as well. And that they really did work together as a team. It was really incredible to see, amazing to see at how they can work together. And man, I would not want to be on the other side of any police dog. I can tell you and I've seen that as a paramedic. I've seen that, and it's not pretty. All
right, let's go on to this. This is great as well.
Yeah, this is one that I did for RCMP, and they wanted me to create a specific group of images that represented certain things that they did in their community. For RCMP and where I'm from, community connection is a really big deal, and they really wanted to show it with this picture where this child was lost, and the police officer, the bicycle unit, found him and is reuniting him with his mother.
That's great. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
we can all relate to this one.
Yeah, these are great. These are all from the same photo session that I did in Airdrie, just south of where I'm from, close to the Rockies there. But yeah, this was, and so I asked them. I'm not a police officer, so I asked them what are things do you want to have to be to represent? Like, what parts of your job do you want to display? And all these original prints are up in their station. And this is, this guy, they wanted to have something where this driver's crazy. Like, he hates the police, and he expresses that, and where they need to keep their calm, and they need to be professional and respond to that, but also be ready for potentially an encounter there. So was kind of the idea behind this one. And there's another one in this. I don't know if you're going to show the next one, but there's one that was really, this one, and then there's another one. But yeah, this one kind of hit heavy with a lot of people. And this is another one with kids, based on a situation that they had with this actual member had. So I interviewed him, and we talked about the call, and there's this little pink doll that was involved, and it was a domestic issue. And so this is him diffusing himself after the call is de-escalated, and his coworker there comforting him as he processes what he just witnessed.
Yeah. All right, let's go on.
Yeah, this one.
Ooh, this is chilling. Yeah.
Yeah, right. So this. I think of that whole series. This is probably and it's funny when people look at my images, they dissect them, right? They really. So a lot of other officers, they would look at this and they would attach their protocols, and they're like, oh, you wouldn't do this in this case, you wouldn't do this in that case, but that's not the point of the picture, right? The point is to express the potential hidden danger in any situation.
Right. And
RCMP, they work by themselves. They don't have a partner in the car. They're alone. So they'll come up at a simple traffic stop, and it could be lethal for them.
And you never know.
You never know.
Like getting back to the other picture, when you say people depict it, that one picture where you have the other angry driver,
this one.
I could see certain narratives in our community, in our nation today, going, why does that officer have his hand on his gun?
Yeah.
And it's for protection. And, this is what officers have to go through. He is actually, people don't see it, but that driver is an actual threat right now because it's like that barking dog. You know, when that dog goes into attack mode, right? You see a dog in attack mode, it's a threat. That face shows me he's a threat right now. He's aggressive, you know, but I could see that getting a lot of, well, why does that cop have his hand on his gun?
Yeah.
You know,
because that's how we approach vehicles.
Right. No, listen, I'm agreeing with it. I'm just saying current narrative. Current narrative. For sure.
Yeah. And like I said, I'm not a police officer, so I haven't been in those situations. So I really, when I do these specific photo sessions for law enforcement, I really have to get inside their head because I really want to express what the emotions they're having and their events that they're having accurately for them. Right. It's more difficult for me to do because I'm not an officer myself. It's easy.
Have you ever gotten any backlash?
Oh, I get tons of backlash. Yeah.
On what aspects? Because I think every photo that I've seen of yours is powerful, is meaningful to me. I'm sure Sam feels the same way.
Oh yeah.
What type of and probably every first responder across the nation. What kind of backlash and who would you get it from? You don't have to mention names, but
well, I'll tell you what. My mom doesn't like my artwork. Sometimes I'll do. I love my mom, but I'll do. I'll do a really heavy, dark picture, and she'll send me a text message, and she'll go, "Daniel, why is it so gross? Why does it have to be so graphic? Why do you have to be? Why do you have to have this? Why does it have to be so gory?" And right, so which is fine. She just doesn't get it.
She gets it.
Yeah, she's a civilian, right? She doesn't understand. But yeah,
often
like from other,
you don't want to see those dark thoughts in your mind.
Yeah, right. So, and don't get me wrong, I love my mom. She's great. She's
here's your another the attack dog. And when I first saw this, I was like, yeah, go doggy. Yeah. And then right up in the upper, I don't know if my mouth shows up on the screen, but you can see the guy running, with a knife in his hand. And my eye went from the dog and then knife, hello. Yeah.
If I would have done this picture again, I would have put some blood on the knife. Not to make it more gratuitous, but because it's based on an actual event and what actually happened, right? So I would have made it a little bit more thought-provoking that way.
Now, this is a picture. It's a portrait, right?
Yeah.
It's a photo, yeah.
Yeah, it was a photo, and then I digitally painted on top of it is what I did. Yeah, so I met really cool. This canine unit, and this dog was beautiful and really friendly until we did that. And I'm like, oh my God, I hope he doesn't mistake me for his target, because I'm gonna. Yeah, it was really, really amazing how they can turn these dogs on and off so quickly. It was amazing. Oh. Yeah, that was an amazing photo session I did there. Yeah, these are all from that same photo session. So this is called Eye of the Storm, or Calm Within the Storm, where police officers really need to keep their shit together in some really, really, really scary situations. And not only for police officers, but paramedics, firefighters, dispatchers, ER staff, everybody, because we're in these crazy tornadoes and these storms.
I was going to ask, is that a tornado in the background?
Yeah, it's a
tornado in the background with you could see the whatever it is, like, yeah.
So the tornado's coming and he's not running.
Yeah.
That's the whole idea of this one. Yeah. And that's what we do. We run into tornadoes.
Absolutely. This one is another one that got me.
Yeah. Yeah. So this, again, depending on your own experiences, this is death's right around the corner. Yeah. And the idea of this, and this is called courage, for rightfully so, but kind of when I created this one, it was relative to paramedics and firefighters and all of us, where, potentially my next call could be my last call. And that goes for everybody. We never know that when those radio tones go off, that could be it for us. That could be our last day on shift or our last call. We never know. Yet we still do it.
Yeah.
That photo should be in every academy class.
Yeah, it should be. That should be the first thing you see when you walk in a class in the morning.
The original.
This is why we train.
Yep.
Yeah. The original photo, because they had all these. These are all big prints in their in their station, the Grim Reaper wasn't in there. So I added the Grim Reaper after. They didn't want the Grim Reaper in the original picture, which I totally understand that, to be displayed in their public area. But my version, so this would be like the director's cut version of this picture, is that death's around the corner.
For someone to turn around and say they don't want the Grim Reaper in that picture, is one hiding the fact of the dangers of an officer or a paramedic.
Mm-hmm.
In my eyes, I mean, I think that puts everything into perspective on what an officer and a paramedic and firefighters go through every day.
Yep.
You said it perfectly. Death is around the next corner. We don't know. So for someone to say, "Hey, I want to take away that Grim Reaper," no.
Yeah.
Because that really brings it to light. I like the aspect that you put it in there and kept it in there.
Yeah, I understand their point of where, because it was going to be displayed that way. And don't get me wrong, because the person that wanted all these pictures, she's a huge supporter of mental health, and the fact that the RCMP hired me to create this for them was a huge deal. Like, that's not something they usually do.
Right.
To get to this type of artwork, even without the Grim Reaper there, in an RCMP station is a giant deal. So that's a huge thing. So I'm really grateful for her to do that, right? But
I can understand if it was in a public area for sure. But this is like the perfect for as you're walking into the training room or the shoot house or whatever. This is why we train.
Yeah, like in a staff room, sure.
Yeah.
But John, I totally understand. Like there's a lot of organizations that don't want their staff portrayed in my artwork because they believe that it gives the wrong signal, or it doesn't portray what they want to represent, right? So and I hear that a lot from a lot of large organizations that the staff will want me to come and do artwork for them, and then it gets kiboshed near the top because they don't want that to be represented as part of their department, which that they can do whatever they want, but I think that's pretty sad, because that's the reality of it, is what, especially if the staff is asking me to create something for them. This is where we hit that wall, all of us, is that there are certain aspects, and I'm sure we have a lot of that here in the States as well, where they think it's all unicorns and sunflowers and balloons and everything as a police officer. I'm going to go get that cat out of the tree. I'm going to hug Miss Jones and walk across the street, the whole bit. But the reality is, the drunk driver is going to hit Miss Jones as you're walking her across the street. Yeah.
The cat's going to scratch her eyes out, and then But that's what we have to do. We have to be real. You got the shirt. Be kind. We have to be real with our law enforcement, because that's what's going to save their lives. We have to be real with our paramedics. We have to let them know that we're not sugarcoating stuff. We care about your mental health, and you're depicting everything perfectly from what every officer and every first responder sees in their mind.
Yeah.
I have to be authentic. I think that's why people connect to my artwork, because they recognize, and a lot of people don't know that I'm a working medic and firefighter, and they'll get messages and they'll say, how do you know this stuff? Like, how they think I'm just some flaky artist creating, first responder artwork. They're like, how do you know this stuff to portray these complex ideas that no one talks about? And then I'm like, because I still work full time. This is based on a call I did a couple of weeks ago, right? So it's important for me to maintain that authenticity and be true for myself.
So this is pretty authentic. Obviously, the residential entry here.
Mm-hmm. This is all the same photo shoot. Yeah, this one I did a few years ago, and this was an RCMP officer and his partner, and a paramedic that I work with, and we all worked on the same shift. So this potentially could be a reality for us. Everyone's kind of moved on to different areas and stuff, but that's and that is a reality for many people, this type of situation. And the idea for this was, if you're a paramedic, and again, this is going to another controversial topic, but whatever. In an active shooting situation, as a paramedic, are you going to go in, especially if it's your friend that has been injured, or are you going to wait? now I did this picture a long time ago, and now, we have tactical paramedics that are trained and they go in and stuff. But this picture was done before we still had that, but not my department. And that was kind of the question. Again, they're all based on actual events that I've seen or heard about or people have told me about. And that was kind of the question, what would you do?
Mm-hmm. Well, same thing.
Yeah, but this is the reverse.
Yeah.
So the next thing is if you do go in and you get injured, it might just be in the police officer who's rendering you first aid and trying to protect the scene, right? Oh, this is good that you bring this one up. People don't usually talk about this one. This is when I was in England a couple of years ago, and I saw this dude standing there, and I took his picture, and I just thought he just looked so stoic. It looked great. And there's another one from England. I don't know if you have the other one from this trip, but yeah, there it is. And this guy, I love this guy. He looks like your granddad.
Yeah.
Right. But look what he's got. He's like I was intimidated to even ask him if I could take his picture. And he said, yeah, sure. I'm like, great. Don't tell your boss, because they're probably going to say I can't do anything with it. So I did it. I painted it up, and I love that portrait of that officer. I was right in London.
It's fantastic.
Yeah.
And here we go. Yeah, you have a lot of dogs that I just absolutely love. I love
so this was from the Edmonton Police Department photo session I mentioned earlier with the canine unit. And so I did pictures of the dogs individually, which were great, beautiful dogs. And then I did a portrait of the dog with the officer. And then I did another picture of them in attack mode. I don't know if it's called attack mode, but so yeah, that was a great photo session. But I think there was probably 14 dogs.
That looks like the dog's going pee break.
Yeah.
Well, it's right down to the mud. He's got mud on his paws, so I think he's like, I did what I needed to do. Now give me my toy.
Yeah, and nobody loved that photo session more than the dogs did. They loved it. Like, they were so happy to be involved in this photo session and to be working with their handlers. It was great. But the funny thing is, and I have a big giant group portrait of all 14 dogs, but I had to splice it together because they can only have 3 or 4 dogs out at a time. Because if they had more than 3 dogs at a time, they would attack each other.
Right. Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Okay. So I had to do only 1 dog at a time this way. Then did the big group portrait. We'd position the individual dogs and place it all together. But
who knew so this is that more than 3 doggies would turn into this?
Yeah. Right. So this is one of those pictures I was telling you about. Like, so I'm there, and the guy in the suit is right behind me. I'm thinking this dog's going to go right over me. Like, I hope this is going to work, but. Yeah, it was. So
you're in front of that dog right now.
I'm right in front of that dog. Yeah, and the guy in the suit has his arm right over my camera, and I'm thinking, man, if that leash breaks, I'm gonna which way am I gonna go? Because
yeah.
This dog's
I'm feeling you on that one.
Yeah, but the dog just before that was so calm and happy, loving to be there, and then they just say the command word, and I'm like, oh my god, it was incredible.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really, really impressive. Really, really impressive. Yeah, this picture, again, for RCMP, I love, for the RCMP, I'm very proud Canadian, and I'm proud of our RCMP. I'm proud of our, the uniform that they have. It's very globally recognized, and it works great for photography. So the big round Stetson and the the blood red jackets with the yellow stripe. Yeah, this was great. This is one of my favorite and most popular police. There's no gore, there's no blood in it, there's no situation in it. But this officer's, it's just deep in thought, right? Just thinking of in their uniform. Being very professional.
So in the interest of time, I'm gonna stop sharing here and come back to this screen. So let me come back here. All right. So there, the photos, the art goes on and on. If people want to look at your work, is it dansunphotos.com? I'm going to type it in okay.
Yeah, dansunphotos.com. But, if you even just Google Dansun, D-A-N-S-U-N, which is the first 3 letters of my first and last name, and just do Dansun and then do Google and then do images, my images will pop up all over.
Now these images are available as we were scrolling. You could see, purchase. So if anyone wants to purchase, they can click on that, and
Yeah, they can purchase right from my webpage. All my, even though I'm from Canada, if you purchase stuff from my webpage, it all gets printed in California. And I have a couple art books available as well. And the sales from the art books I use to help fund and support what we do with the conferences that we do with the Peer Recovery Resiliency Society, because that's pretty expensive to put on. And so we use the money from the books to do that. And the books are great because the books they're big coffee table books. And, they're proper resolution, proper color. They're big. They have the narratives that I write with each one. And then also comments from my readers, how they connected to that image. It's pretty emotional, actually, to go through the books, to flip through it that way. But
I got to get myself one.
Yeah.
I'm gonna order
I've got
one.
3. The first one's sold out, and there's no more printings of it yet. Chapter 2, chapter 3 is available.
Wow.
Available on my website.
Huh?
On my
Available on
website.
your
Available.
website. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Well, I mean, we can't thank you enough. We could go a whole nother hour because we didn't even get into the whole thing about post-traumatic growth, what you teach at the Peer Recovery Resiliency Society conferences that you put up. Maybe you'll come back.
I'd love that.
Onto the show, and we'll have you back to talk more about it. And we always ask at the end of the show, what's your message to our first responder community out there?
Just be kind to each other, be compassionate. That event that happened in California yesterday at that fire station, just really stuck with me. I did a post on that today. We really need to be, as the world is going crazy, we need to stick together and support each other and really watch out for each other, and just have some type of understanding or second guess, or not second guess, but think twice before you judge a fellow or anybody, and just think, everyone's going through something, and just try on some compassion and just be nice to people. It's not that hard. And that will come back to you tenfold,
Absolutely. Daniel, you mentioned social media. Where can people connect with you on social?
Facebook, Instagram are my big ones. If you just search, I should probably remember, but I can't remember what the actual handles are. Dance on Photos, I think they are.
Okay.
Dance on Photos on Facebook, Dance on Photo Art on Instagram, I think. And then I'm on Twitter and LinkedIn as well. And that's usually where I post stuff first. And I try to post something every day. I try to put something up there, because I haven't done a lot of photo sessions in the last year. I'm kind of redoing some old stock pictures and stuff I haven't shared before, and redoing a lot of the old ones. But hopefully soon we're going to be able to, we're still pretty locked down here in Canada. Hopefully that's going to change. I know you guys are doing better down there, but hopefully we'll start to get some photo sessions, and I can go out again and meet some of my peers and do some custom work for them.
Well, Daniel, I don't know if you follow hashtag Walk the Bridge. I remember in the beginning of the segment you talked about walking for suicide awareness.
Mm-hmm.
We walk our bridge here. We had a bridge that we walk. It's called we do hashtag Walk the Bridge. On the 22nd of every month. We've been doing it for 3 years. We finally got the bridge name. We finally got the bridge named Heroes Bridge.
Oh, fantastic! You guys are in Houston, is that right?
Dallas.
Outside of Dallas.
Okay. Oh, sorry. All right.
But if you Google hashtag Walk the Bridge, you'll see it. And something that may interest you is we just unveiled for the first in the nation, actually first globally ever. We're going to be building a park. It's going to be called Heroes Bridge Memorial Park, and it's dedicated solely to suicide prevention. It will honor those who took their lives as suicide, and a place for the families to connect.
That's great.
Now in September, we're hosting a gala. All right, Blue Help, I'm sure. What do you call it? Karen was on. If in September you guys are off lockdown, I would love for you to come and be our personal guest at that gala and share.
Oh, I'd love that.
So
that's
September,
great.
let's keep in touch. We would love for you to be here and be a part of this whole thing. And be a part of get.
Oh, that's great. And yeah, and John, I'm happy if you guys have like an auction. I'm happy to donate some artwork for that.
I was going to say, I think a live auction. My brain is
I'll be happy to do that because it's wonderful that there's still such a negative stigma around suicide, right? If a first responder takes their life, it's like, oh, how could they do that, or how can they, be so selfish? But man, it's not like that, and there's not, and that's why we want to do this suicide awareness walk where, families come and they support and they honor those people with shirts with their names on them, and the idea is that we have is that we'll be a team, and you have to walk this track for 24 hours. I'm going to show movies, and it's going to be a fun event, honoring these people instead of sweeping them under the rug, which happens too often.
Try doing it every month. Connect with us on hashtag.
I will for sure.
Because the UK is starting this, and now in London.
Okay.
They're going to be starting to do it on the High Bridge, Scotland Yard, and the High Sheriff have already signed off on it. Once they get off lockdown, they will be walking the bridge the 22nd of every month for our veterans and our first responders.
That's great.
If that's something you would like to start in Canada,
yep,
we do it on 22nd of every month. We'll cover it. We'll hold the coverage for it. You can go to walkthebridge.org. Sam's husband Steve has put a beautiful website together for us, and be part of the growing mission. Like you said, you can do it once a year, but why not do it once a month?
Yeah.
Get people involved every month. Take a look, see if it's something that you guys would be interested in. We'd help you. We'd love to help you start it in Canada. Yeah,
that's great. We have a perfect bridge here that we can do it here where I'm from. So I love that idea. I will go on that website and look into it.
Excellent.
I love that idea.
Well, thank you again so much, Daniel. We've got lots in the works. We'll talk offline for sure. I so appreciate your time and going through your pieces of art and giving us the backstory on it. Is very cool. So we will definitely catch up with you soon.
Yeah, well, thanks, Sam and John. I really appreciate you guys having me on your show. This has been
really fun. Sharing you all over the place, brother.
No, that's awesome. Thank you so much. Nice connecting.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Stay safe and be kind.
Thank you too.
Be safe. Yeah. Wow. So awesome. Love it. Love it. Love it. I'm going to go back like later tonight and just when it's quiet and go back through all the pictures again. It's just so it's got a place where it soothes me. Like, because it's like finally somebody who's like telling the real story of what we do every day, but it also allows me, to like remember, in fondness.
I'm so happy you put up that share, the photo share.
I learned.
I'm so happy you did that because let me tell you something. I've seen his pictures online. I've seen other departments sharing it. I never got the story behind him. That was amazing. That really was so heartwarming. He is such an amazing person. And to hear the stories and to hear what's behind each picture really brings, it makes the picture even more meaningful.
Very cool. So thank you, everybody, for joining us for another incredible show, incredible guest. Hey, if you're watching on our Facebook page, if you could jump on over to our YouTube page, just go to youtube.com and in the search, put Mad Radio Texas, okay? Follow us on YouTube. We're trying to get to 200 followers. That is the key. We get to do some cool stuff. In fact, like have our own name, like our channel is our name, amongst other things that we can share. And if you've joined us on YouTube, jump on over to our Facebook page. And again, real easy, facebook.com, that search bar that comes up at the top. You can search Mad Radio or type in Making a Difference TX, and you will find us. The replay will be on both our YouTube channel and Facebook, so catch it there. And all of the ways to support Mad Radio, to support a badge of honor, and the workshops that we spoke about, you can go on to abadgeofhonor.com and you can click on the top. You'll see donate/Mad Radio. Guys, every penny, literally every penny helps. helps us continue to bring on amazing guests and continue to do the workshops that we do for our first responders. And John, you know, we are in a perpetual state of unknowingness when it comes to first responders, what's going to happen. Daniel mentioned the shooting in California. It's just every day it seems to be something, and every day we pray, we think about our first responders. To all of you here that protect us on the home front, thank you so much for what you do. And for everybody, all of our military who protect us overseas, that have fought since the beginning of time for the freedom for us to do what we do each week here on Mad Radio, and talk about the hard stuff and share the hard stuff. We love you. John, take us home.
You know, I got to say, Sam, the last 3 weeks have been the most powerful shows so far. And that's only because I can only remember 3 weeks, but probably more than that. But with Randy Sutton, who, if you shoot over to Randy Sutton's page, they are having the Blue Line Ball in Las Vegas. I know he is still got some tickets available. So if you're in the Vegas area, or if you're going to be in the Vegas area at the end of this month, no, it's in October, right?
It's in end of October. Yeah. Blue Line Ball. It's the biggest party celebrating law enforcement. Right.
So head over to Lieutenant Sutton's page, and you can purchase your tickets there. We had Sarah and Jim on last week, still struggling. So if anybody could help those guys out, pass some, the struggles that they're going through, help them out. If you have any information that may help them fight their battle, check them out on Facebook. And now with Daniel was amazing. So it's a 3-week trifecta. I think we did I think all our guests did a great job, man. Honored to be part of this. And I'm going to just go off Daniel's shirt. Till next week, be kind.
Thanks for joining us, everybody. Until next week.